The apartment hummed with an unusual tension, a subtle discord that pulled at Wang Yibo's resonance harmonizer. It wasn't the usual clamor of the outside world or the omnipresent drone of the harmonized network. It was an internal static emanating from himself. He was meticulously planning Xiao Zhan's secret birthday celebration, a clandestine operation that required every ounce of his resonant control. Beside him, Xiao Zhan, his boundless empathy a sensitive barometer, registered Yibo's hidden excitement, a vibrant undercurrent of joy, but couldn't quite pinpoint its source. He simply smiled, a soft, questioning curve to his lips, sensing a delightful secret brewing. Yibo's plan was intricate. He had enlisted a handful of trusted friends, each with a resonant signature so subtle they barely registered on the GRM, to gather at a secluded, energetically shielded location. His echo syndrome was working overtime, creating localized dampeners around their communications, ensuring no stray frequency hinted at the truth. This birthday, he vowed, would be entirely theirs, untainted by public gaze. But the harmonized network, a vast, sentient ocean of collective consciousness, was notoriously difficult to fool. Its intricate algorithms, always seeking emotional anomalies, began to pick up the high-frequency vibrations of Yibo's concentrated effort, the subtle energy of his profound secrecy. A faint, probing hum, like a distant radar, started to sweep across their resonant signatures. The network sensed a significant emotional event approaching, a moment of profound joy that, if harnessed, could be a global spectacle. It began to anticipate, to predict, to prepare for a public broadcast. The first mind-blowing scene erupted not as an external attack, but as a meticulously crafted illusion. Yibo, sensing the network's escalating intrusion, knew he had to act decisively. He couldn't fight the network's omnipresence. He had to misdirect it. He closed his eyes, focusing his entire being. His harmonizer pulsed, not with his true emotions, but with a carefully constructed frequency. He used his echo syndrome, not to reflect reality, but to project a colossal, dazzling, phantom birthday echo, a hyper-realistic, emotionally charged holographic projection of an impossibly grand, public birthday celebration. The phantom echo materialized in the heart of the city's largest stadium, an extravagant spectacle of light and sound that instantly diverted the network's ravenous attention. The digital sky above the city filled with shimmering, spectral fireworks, each burst painting a silent, holographic image of Zhan's face, overlaid with messages of adoration from billions of projected fans. The harmonized network, completely fooled, instantly latched onto this false narrative, broadcasting it globally, believing it had captured the true essence of the moment. Zhan, watching the news reports flicker across the street-side screens, felt a wave of bittersweet sadness. He saw the grand spectacle, the public fanfare, and a quiet resignation settled in his heart. Yibo, ever protective, had given the world what it wanted, but at the cost of their intimacy. He didn't know the phantom echo was a brilliant deception. While the world's attention was captivated by the phantom spectacle, Yibo gently led a somewhat downcast Zhan through the quiet, subtly shielded backstreets of the city. Zhan's empathy, still tinged with the manufactured sadness of the phantom echo, was slow to register the subtle shift in frequencies. Yibo's harmonizer, however, vibrated with a triumphant, joyful rhythm, a counterpoint to the distant, orchestrated cheers from the stadium. They arrived at a forgotten ancient greenhouse on the city's edge, its glass panes overgrown with shimmering, bioluminescent vines. This was not a grand venue, but a hidden gem, chosen for its natural shielding properties and its profound, quiet beauty. As they stepped inside, Zhan gasped. The second mind-blowing scene was a profound, intimate reveal. The greenhouse was not empty. A small group of their closest friends, faces alight with genuine love, stood waiting. Zhan's father, his presence a warm, steady anchor, smiled. Even Echo, their dog, gave a soft, excited bark, his small body radiating pure, unadulterated joy. This wasn't a public spectacle, it was a sanctuary of genuine connection. The bioluminescent vines on the walls didn't just glow, they shimmered with a soft, internal light, their patterns weaving a delicate, ethereal tapestry of true resonance, a visual manifestation of the pure, unadulterated emotional frequencies of everyone gathered, a stark contrast to the hollow grandiosity of the phantom echo. Zhan's empathy, previously dulled by manufactured sorrow, suddenly flooded with raw, overwhelming joy. He looked at Yibo, tears welling in his eyes, realizing the profound depth of the deception, the immense love behind the elaborate misdirection. This was his real birthday, a mind-blowing revelation of intimate devotion. "Happy birthday, Zhan Gu," Yibo whispered, his eyes shining, his harmonizer humming with a triumphant, unwavering melody. The climax arrived as Yibo produced a small, unassuming wooden box. He presented it to Zhan. As Zhan opened it, his fingers brushing Yibo's, their resonant heartstones flared with a brilliant, synchronized light. The wooden box didn't just contain a gift, it contained a profound, unifying power. From within, a shimmering, ethereal temporal bubble expanded, enveloping the entire greenhouse, making it utterly invisible and undetectable to the outside world, to the harmonized network, to every probing algorithm. Within this bubble, time slowed, bending to the rhythm of their shared joy, preserving the moment forever. And then, the final, mind-blowing visual appeared. Within the temporal bubble, shimmering into existence above their heads, a magnificent, cosmic memory constellation bloomed. It wasn't composed of distant stars, but of luminous points of light, each one a genuine, unrecorded memory of their past together, unique to their love. Their first touch, a shared laugh under a starlit sky, the moment they adopted Echo, the quiet understanding in the opera house. These memories, untraceable by any external force, now pulsed with a soft, eternal light, forming a shimmering, intricate galaxy of their shared history, made visible and permanent within their sanctuary. The constellation was a testament to a love so profound it had forged its own universe, powered by their unrecorded moments. The celebration continued within their private dimension, shielded by the temporal bubble, illuminated by the cosmic memory constellation. The harmonized network, still thoroughly convinced by the phantom birthday echo, broadcast its fabricated narrative to the world, completely unaware of the true, profound magic unfolding in the hidden greenhouse. Yibo had not only surprised Zhan, he had protected their love, celebrated their true bond, and woven their shared memories into the very fabric of their own personal cosmos. Their love, shielded and cherished in its purest form, remained their ultimate power and their most beautiful, enduring secret. The birthday celebration, now an eternal, unrecorded memory within the safety of its temporal bubble, had ended. The cosmic memory constellation still pulsed gently above them, a beautiful, silent promise. The party guests had departed, leaving a profound, peaceful stillness in their wake. Xiao, Zhan, and Wang Yibo were alone again, their love a fortified sanctuary, their resonant heartstones glowing with a quiet, triumphant light. They had successfully proven their love was a power so immense it could be concealed, celebrated, and protected from the world. But an act of such immense power, they soon learned, had an unforeseen consequence. As they stepped out of their apartment and into the new day, Wang Yibo's resonance harmonizer began to register a new, chaotic frequency. It wasn't a digital intrusion or a malicious intent, it was a confused, frightened hum, a low, desperate vibration of nascent power. He looked at Zhan, whose empathy was in overdrive, absorbing not just the usual city energy, but 1,000 new, awakening emotional signatures. As they turned the corner to their building, they were met with a sight that was both terrifying and breathtaking. A crowd had gathered, but these weren't the usual fans or paparazzi. These were people whose auras, once dormant, were now flaring with a raw, uncontrolled energy. Their sudden emotional awareness, activated by the powerful phantom birthday echo that had fooled the harmonized network, was manifesting as shimmering, confused lights around them, a young man's panic as a green, volatile haze, a young woman's wonder as a soft, pulsing violet. It was a visually stunning and chaotic scene, a direct, mind-blowing result of their love's power. The new empathic and resonant beings, overwhelmed by their new senses, were drawn to the source of the serenity that had activated their abilities. The first mind-blowing scene was the sheer, chaotic beauty of the manifesting crowd. The air crackled with a kaleidoscope of confused emotions and fledgling abilities. One woman, her eyes wide with fear, caused the very asphalt beneath her feet to shimmer and blur with her instability. A young boy, unable to control his new resonant abilities, unintentionally caused a nearby streetlight to flicker and hum a high-pitched, discordant song. They were a collective of unintended consequences, a flock of awakening, seeking the source of the serenity that had activated their powers. Zhan's boundless empathy was the first to act. He felt their fear, their disorientation, their desperate need for guidance, and it resonated with a deep, protective instinct. This was not a problem to be solved with force, but a profound responsibility. He looked at Yibo, a silent understanding passing between them. They couldn't just send another wave of calm, they had to teach these people how to harness their own light. The second mind-blowing scene was a profound, collective act of healing. With a shared look, their resonant heartstones pulsed with a gentle light. Yibo, his harmonizer now the conductor of a new, complex symphony, began to project a collective heart song, not a single note of peace, but a complex, harmonizing melody of emotional frequencies. The melody was a teacher, a guide, its tones a gentle lesson in emotional control. Zhan's empathy, working in perfect concert, absorbed the raw fear from the crowd, transmitting back waves of pure, focused calm, showing them how to separate and understand their emotions. The scene was a synchronized, almost choreographed, mind-blowing display. The confused, chaotic auras of the crowd didn't just fade, they began to shift, to flow, to find their own perfect resonance. The young man's green haze of panic became a focused, controlled beam of creative energy. The young boy's discordant hum transformed into a quiet, stabilizing pulse of inner peace. The entire flock began to move as one, their auras harmonizing, their newfound abilities under control. The crowd, a sea of now serene faces, simply turned and walked away, their purpose fulfilled, their powers no longer a source of fear. They left behind a quiet, peaceful space, but not an empty one. One person remained. Kai, the artist who had once challenged their bond, stood alone, his gaze not on the spot where the crowd had been, but on Yibo and Zhan, his own aura a soft, respectful hum. The climax arrived in an unexpected act of profound humility and acceptance. Kai approached them, his usual confident demeanor replaced by a gentle solemnity. "I wasn't a rival," he said, his voice soft. "I was a fool. I thought I wanted to possess your light. But I see now. Your light isn't something you have, it's something you are." He paused, then raised his hand, his own artistic aura pulsing with a new, benevolent energy. "The world needed a beacon. You gave us one. I want to give something back." With a final mind-blowing act of artistic devotion, he used his aura of artistic dominion to create a permanent, physical manifestation of the golden thread of their love. The air before them shimmered, not with a chaotic projection, but with a magnificent, unbreakable strand of pure, golden light that wove itself into the walls of their apartment building, an incorruptible symbol of their bond, a silent, public testament to a love that had now proven its worth to a former rival. Kai nodded, a look of profound peace on his face, and then he was gone. Their love, once a private sanctuary, had become a public beacon. Their greatest challenge was not an enemy, but the very power of their love. They had accepted their role not as cosmic heroes, but as quiet guardians, their bond a silent beacon for all who seek harmony. Their love was now the eternal anchor of the universe, a silent, beautiful force, and their quiet life was the greatest proof of its power. The birthday celebration, now an eternal, unrecorded memory within the safety of its temporal bubble, had ended. The cosmic memory constellation still pulsed gently above them, a beautiful, silent promise. The party guests had departed, leaving a profound, peaceful stillness in their wake. Xiao, Zhan, and Wang Yibo were alone again, their love a fortified sanctuary, their resonant heartstones glowing with a quiet, triumphant light. They had successfully proven their love was a power so immense it could be concealed, celebrated, and protected from the world. But an act of such immense power, they soon learned, had an unforeseen consequence. Their love, now the silent, invisible force anchoring reality, had become so deeply embedded in the cosmos that it was affecting the universe's natural order. The universe, in its impersonal, cosmic way, tried to find balance. It wasn't a malevolent force, but an unfeeling, inexorable law, and it was beginning to pull back the power it had been lent. To reclaim its balance, it was subtly, gently, and terrifyingly beginning to sever the very core of their connection, their memories of each other. The first mind-blowing scene was not a spectacle of light and sound, but a profound, silent erosion. It began with small things. One morning, Xiao Zhan reached for the memory of a shared laugh, a moment on a rooftop where Wang Yibo had stumbled over a word. He found only a faint, emotional echo, a ghost of a feeling without a clear image. He tried to recall the specific way Yibo's face had looked in that moment, and the memory was a hazy, indistinct blur. Later, Yibo tried to recall the first time he had seen Zhan's famous radiant smile, and the image in his mind was blurry, its light gone. A cold dread, a more profound fear than any chaos they had ever faced, settled over them. The universe, in its quest for balance, was erasing their shared history. It wasn't taking their love, it was taking the memories that had built it, leaving an empty, beautiful void. The world outside is perfectly stable, but their inner world is slowly unraveling. The fear became a frantic, desperate urgency. They realized the universe didn't want to destroy their love, it simply wanted to re-establish the balance that their all-encompassing power had disrupted. The price of that power, it seemed, was a single, unifying anchor. They knew what they had to do. They had to find a different kind of anchor, a more sustainable one that didn't require the sacrifice of their very essence. They decided on a final, mind-blowing act of defiance and reconnection. They had to journey to the point where their love was first recognized as a cosmic force, the old, abandoned opera house where they had first truly healed. This journey was a mental one, a trip back through their own fading memories, a frantic race against time. The second mind-blowing scene was a poignant, bittersweet descent into their own minds. They stood on a quiet, sun-drenched hill, their eyes closed, their hands clasped. With every ounce of their remaining will, they projected themselves back through time and space, back through their own shared consciousness. They moved through a series of quantum echoes of their past, a frantic, beautiful race against the fading. They landed in a silent, shimmering echo of their apartment, the day they had first confessed their feelings. They saw themselves, their younger selves, and a faint, shimmering, visible imprint of that memory appeared around them, a ghost of a beautiful past they might lose. They watched themselves, two nervous, uncertain young men, and a desperate sob escaped Zhan's lips. "I don't want to forget this," he whispered. Yibo squeezed his hand. "We won't. I won't let us." They moved on, through a swirling vortex of fading memories, a blur of silent concerts, of shared meals, of quiet, unspoken moments. They fought to hold on to each one, to etch it back into their minds. They landed in another echo, this one on the rooftop in the first snowfall, the memory now a faint, ethereal aura of cold and profound peace. They saw the moment of their secret pact, the starlight thread now a faint, shimmering ribbon barely holding on. It was a terrifying reality. The more they remembered, the more they realized how much had already been lost. They arrived at the old opera house. It was just a decaying, empty building, the stage dark, the seats draped in white cloth. The air was thick with dust and the ghost of their past selves. They stood on the stage, the place where their love had first brought light to the world. They knew the universe didn't want to destroy their love, it simply wanted its balance. They realized they could offer a different kind of anchor. Not one of combined essence, but of pure, profound, individual truth. The climax was a final, mind-blowing act of love, not of power. With their hands clasped, they used their remaining will to create a single, resonant melody of their love, not as a cosmic force, but as a simple, human song. Yibo's echo syndrome, a shadow of its former self, provided the perfect pitch, a single pure note of devotion. Zhan's empathy, a quiet echo of its past, gave the note a profound, heartfelt emotion. They sang a simple melody, a song of love and memory, and sent it out into the universe. This song was the final anchor, a quiet, profound vibration that stabilizes the universe without requiring the sacrifice of their memories. The universe, an unfeeling but fair force, accepted their new offering. The melody resonated through space, becoming the new, gentle, invisible force that keeps the world from unraveling. Their memories returned, not as a flood, but as a gentle, reassuring tide. The vivid details, the small smiles, the loving glances, they all returned, whole and perfect. They looked at each other, their eyes full of a new, profound understanding. Their greatest power was not in the heavens, not in a grand spectacle, but in the simple, unbreakable truth of their shared history. They had chosen to fight for their past, and in doing so, they had secured their future. Their love was truly their own now, a quiet, profound bond that exists for its own sake, for their own shared memories, for all time.